And hello there, folks. This is History Over Beer with Dips. Hello again. Sorry for a slight delay. I had to start a little later today because, well, quarantine living is kind of weird. All the days got scrambled into one. Long story short is I just, slept too long and got to sleep too late or too early, depending on how you see it. Anyway, hello there, and welcome to another part of my show, and second part of my show, or second episode of my show. And today we're gonna talk about, did Hitler know about the Holocaust? Of course he knew. Yes, of course he knew. By the way, if you don't know from where this question stems, where the curiously a brief recap. There is the guy, a British historian, David Irving. He in 1980s, I think, proposed this hypothesis, or well, I don't remember which year exactly, which is a pity. By the way, we are drinking książęce ciemne, Schwarzbier. Where I don't have an opinion about this beer yet, but it's okay, I guess. Anyway, David Irving was at first interesting historian. He unearthed some documents. He was actually, quite promising as a scholar. However, in the between 1970s and 1980s, he took a turn to more nationalist or more fascist approach, as well his detractors would call it. I'd rather discuss his hypothesis than him, so I will just, present him to you as is. On his Wikipedia page, you can find a lot of information about him. Not good information, actually. He is a confirmed Holocaust denier. But from my standpoint, from historian's standpoint, his biggest sin is manipulation of historical evidence. He portrayed Hitler in much more favorable light than he actually deserves, and. You may argue that some portrayals of Hitler today are strongly more to the monster side, but well, he kind of deserved it. That's first, and second, well, his biggest sin is that he basically lied. His whole hypothesis is built on one piece of fact. Well, he presents a lot of facts in his conclusions, but mostly he can skew them to fit his narrative. One fact though is true, with 100% true. We don't have a document of Hitler confirming or Hitler ordering final solution. Final solution was implemented in about 1944 or between 1933 and 1944, which called for extermination of all European Jewry. That, of course, is something Irving in his hypothesis tried to, change. He tried to attack that. And his hypothesis is basically saying that Hitler was innocent of that he didn't order it, that that maybe he even didn't know about it. And all Holocaust, all concentration camps, or Arbeitslager horror in the Second World War, that not only Jews suffered, but Polish, Russian, Ukrainians, most Eastern Europeans and some Western Europeans as well, especially if they were gay or a political dissident. Irving hypothesis is based on this fact that we don't have this document, basically, and it is very how 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 to say, from the point of view of historical discipline, you cannot just confirm that something didn't happen because you don't have a document for that. Especially, it is something like that where you have witnesses, where you have like a lot of witnesses talking to Hitler, close to Hitler, Hitler's own words condemning him. Um, but we have this Hitler's words about that he hated Jews, that he want them off, and Eyring basically argues that Hitler thought about banishment more like he wanted to banish Jews from Germany, and not killing them. Well, my take on this, I sometimes like controversial historical hypotheses. They can, if you can, deny them, you can then a lot of historians want to deny them, so they unearth other sources and they expand our knowledge on the subject. Also, a point of view from the other angle is not necessarily bad because it's controversial. However, this time, well, I think, in short, this hypothesis is full of crap. And I will not say it because, I don't want to get in trouble to defending Hitler. No, I will just take up upon it, this hypothesis, with historical discipline. So let's, just for this show, assume that it was okay, that this hypothesis is okay. Let's say Hitler didn't know. What should we then expect based on our knowledge of Hitler, based on our knowledge of Germany? What can we say about that? How can we go around that and to criticize this? Well, it is a fact, or it is understand as fact. We doesn't know 100% this, but it is 90-ish, 95-ish% that the Germans well, when they started persecution of European Jews, and especially in Poland after the war started, they didn't aim in complete eradication, in killing all of them. A lot of people wanted that, sure, but many people, because there were many people in NSDAP party, and I think it is not, you cannot expect all of them, to the last one of them, to wanted to kill all those Jews. I think some NSDAP party members, and I am not alone in this hypothesis, they didn't want to kill them right from the start. They just wanted to get them out of Germany and out of territories that Germany controls, because they assumed, and Irving, by the way, assumes that too, that Jews want to rule the world, and they are also the part why Hitler hated Jews so much is that he believed in something that in Poland is called, and this is a bad word, by the way, Żydokomuna. That is like a combination of Jews and communism. Like Hitler believed that the Soviet communism was created in large part by Jews, and this is a world-controlling Jewish conspiracy, by the way. Yes, it is how that sounds. It is how that sounds. However, so let's assume Hitler didn't know about the final solution, but all things that he said before the war, and all the things he said up until during the war, up until the final solution was being implemented in 1944, that is killing all the Jews and clearing all the ghettos in Poland and so on. Terrible stuff. you then have to assume he was a few things about Hitler that are not true. One of these things, well, Hitler was a control maniac. The longer the war went, Hitler wanted to have control about everything, and to the slightest, to the smallest details. Even, for example, during the Stalingrad battle, he was hundreds of miles in his eastern front headquarters in today's Missouri lakes, around that Missouri lakes, that was Wolfschanze, this headquarters of his. And he was looking at the map on the map of the city of Stalingrad. He could even give orders to where to move battalions of infantry, if you can imagine that. Like, yes, there is a commander of the army there is commanders of the corps there are commanders of divisions and of regiments, but Hitler wants this battalion of infantry moved there. Like, because he is a Führer. If you can believe that, and yes, you should believe that. So we have to assume this control maniac just gave his yes man, his entourage so much free reign of Germany that they could set up final solution, liquidate all the ghettos in Poland, shooting Jews, killing Jews, and then transporting them to the concentration camp. And Hitler didn't know about it. If you take into consideration that you needed Hitler's signature to move, for example, because we have documents about that, of moving like 40,000 Polish prisoners of war from to Arbeitslagers to the work camps in Germany for, some heavy public works or something. You needed Hitler's signature. When the law was implemented about Jews in Poland have to, wear the stars of David. This is the blue star that you see on the flag of Israel on them, usually on the shoulder. It needed Hitler's signature as well. Like every major decision there was in Nazi Germany, there was on almost any important document, there was a Hitler signature there. So to assume that there is no needed Hitler signature to kill hundreds of thousands of people, I think it's naive. It's the lightest thing I can say about that, if you happen to be one believing that. But I hope you don't, and I hope, most of people believing that are for. I don't think most people saying that on social media or something like that, or saying that publicly, are serious. However, some people are seriously believing in that story, and I think it's mostly because they don't like Jews. Well, in short, I think most people that believes in this theory are, like Irving, anti-Semite, and yes, Irving is anti-Semite, or at least he wrote stuff as well. Jews always wanted to kill. Jews always wanted to take over the world. Oh, by the way, I have 2 people listening. Very well. I hope you have your own beer. And now, so maybe Hitler was a stooge, right? Maybe Hitler really didn't know. Maybe he was controlled by the cabal of powerful people that kept him in the dark, while the Holocaust was the effect of some actions of Himmler, some actions of Goebbels, but mostly actions of unnamed people that were on the low. that were on the ground, basically, that were much lower in the NSDIP hierarchy. And you can only assume something like that. Well, if you don't know what what relations distinguished these people around Hitler. Hitler built this cabal of his with him in the center. Hitler was in the center of it. He liked when they scramble for power, when these people scramble for his attention. Few examples maybe. Well, there was this man Martin Bormann that injected himself to Hitler's entourage and made himself invaluable, irreplaceable, basically. And he was from Himmler's. He was actually Himmler's man at the start. He was from SS, I think, but he proved to be a wonderful organizer, and he very much injected himself into Hitler's attention, into Hitler's good graces. And the rest of the pack, including Himmler, started to hate him intensely, actually. And you know, the hatred and the rivalry between those people like Goering, Himmler, Goebbels, not Hjalmar Schacht, what's his name? Speer, Hitler's architect and later Minister of Armaments, armed production. They hated themselves. They hated themselves so much they could. For example, when Goering had his morphine rise because he was this word. Addicted, yes. No, I'm not addicted to beer, no. Anyway, when Hitler had his one more time slide down because of his addiction and so on, Hitler immediately knew about it because some other guy, you know, just told him. And this you know, that center, how should you think about this cabal? They were Hitler's people. They wanted other people out, they wanted other people belittled, and they wanted Hitler to take them as, be it Hitler, be it Himmler, be it Goebbels, be it Goering. They wanted Hitler to make them you know, the most important man in the Reich after the Hitler. Or Goering for a long time was this, then Himmler, then Bormann, or Goebbels was also very important to Hitler throughout the whole time. And why I am saying about this? Well, because the thing that the Himmler and the Goebbels or somebody like that would try to, you know, hide from Hitler, the rest of them would realize that at some point, rather sooner than later. And then, if they hate the Jews, it doesn't matter. As I said to you before, from the start they wanted just the Jews out for to banish them on Madagascar or something like that. In case of, well, in that case, a huge conspiracy to hide a large action of moving of people, of moving of troops, because you also have to move people to shoot Jews and to liquidate ghettos and so on. You have to use a lot of resources, not tell Hitler, and then expect these other your enemies, backstabbing any political enemies, not to tell him? Naive. Again, very, very naive. And yes, we will be going to an end with that, because there is not much to talk after it. At some point, you don't have the evidence, exact evidence of Hitler confirming, you know, killing the Jews. But how to say it? at some point, the indirect evidence you have, indirect proof that are consistent with the hypothesis that Hitler does know, and at some point, sheer number of this indirect evidence is so large, is so huge, like you have to assume, yes, well, anything that is not consistential with this evidence should be false. Irving does not do that. Irving, in his hypothesis, even try to portray and manipulate evidence to portray Hitler in more um, in more favorable light. Mainstream historians never actually, fell for that. At the beginning, when it was the fresh theory, there was a substantial number of younger historians that were like, "Wow, another controversial theory! It's my stuff. I love it." I kind of like these controversial theories too. This one, however, is just plainly a lie, stemmed on the fact that we probably lost this document because Germans destroyed a lot of documents when the war was ending. Even Allies destroyed some documents, some. Most of them, I think it was the accident when they bombed the main Reich's archive in Potsdam. It was in 1944 or 1945, I think. 1945 beginning, I think. They bombed Potsdam, and and most of the documents from that archive was lost. Also, Germans were burned most of the documents they had about personnel and things like that when the war was coming to an end during the Gotterdammerung of Hitler's Germany. Nevertheless, this theory is still making circles there on social media. You can still find people believing it. Most of them most of them are ironic, but I met in real life also some people who unironically believe this hypothesis, especially one, and well, this part is for him. I will not tell. I will not tell who. I will not tell. But I just think, most people believing in this hypothesis just don't know much about history. Like they are seriously historically ignorant, and also probably have something against Jews. When your author presenting this hypothesis to you also says that Jews also always wanted to run the world, control the world, well, it's difficult to take that other than just this guy is something. There's something off about him. So most people believing him, believing Irving, probably thinks the same way. This is, or at least this is my take on that. Well, these shows will be shorter. Next show will be on Wednesday evening, probably around 7 or 8 p.m. This is due to my work because my quarantine ends on Tuesday, and on Wednesday I will be back at work. I will inform on which hour the next show will take place, but it will be on Wednesday. We will talk something about ancient warfare and phalanx. So, right now, subscribe, give me thumbs up, and if you want to support me and my work, attack me on Patreon. And now, well, moment for Untapped. How do we rate this beer? How do we rate this beer? I will give it something about 3, 2.5, 3. I gave IPA later 3.5. By the way, Untapped is a cool app when you can rate beer. It's mostly for rating beer. So if you're a beer drinker and like it, find Untapped in your Google Play Store. And no, they are not the sponsor of this show. I just like the app, as I like beer. So now it will be all for today. Cheers, folks.